Mangwana ni Malelepo Vukenjani Kleklas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Berry and Glenora Shipura. How are you, Glenn?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Ashwin? How many
fantastic.
hours of sleep do you get? Actually,
In general,
you arrived here earlier than the rest of the team. So I'm concerned for your
I
sleep.
go to bed early, so I try to make sure I don't go to bed after 9 p.m.
No, that
unless
makes
there's
sense.
an AFCON match to watch.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to the AFCON match happening tomorrow.
Tonight.
Is it tonight?
Tonight, Namibia
Yes.
plays Mali, Zambia plays Morocco. Should Namibia beat Mali, Namibia qualifies. Should Namibia lose to Mali, Namibia would need Zambia to lose. And I can't join you on the second one.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I can hope we win.
I was not a soccer fan, but I became one,
Yes.
because, Namibia qualified for AFCON, but
This is
my
actually
heart
the best.
cannot take it.
So here's the thing. A lot of people have been annoyed about the whole calculating. But how cool is it that yesterday Namibians who had never had a single spare thought for the Gambians spent the entire night hoping Gambia does well. Gambians did not know we were praying for them. They had no idea that we had them in our hearts. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of football.
That's the beauty of football. Now let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Cameroon begins routine malaria shots in global milestone. And in Mozambique, corruption charges brought against 10 in school textbook case. And Joseph Boakai, Liberia's new president, takes on tough challenges. And a little bit later in the show, we'll be talking to Ari Hochart, who will be filling us in on the latest news in South Africa. Do stay tuned for these and more on Africa Good Morning.
So we had highlighted a little bit yesterday about the global fight against malaria taking a stride forward when Cameroon started the world's first routine vaccine program. But let's get into a little bit more detail. Around 40 years in the making, the World Health Organization approved RTS-S vaccine developed by British drug maker GSK is meant to work alongside existing tools such as bed nets to combat malaria, which in Africa kills nearly 500,000 children under the age of 5 each year. After successful trials, including in Ghana and Kenya, Cameroon is the first country to administer doses through a routine program that 19 other countries aim to roll out this year, according to Global Vaccine Alliance Gavi. About 6.6 million children in these countries are targeted for malaria vaccination through 2024-25.
In our next story, Mozambique's Central Anti-Corruption Office has brought charges against 10 people for corruption in a case involving school textbooks reported in May 2022. The entity announced on Monday the indictment concerns 9 employees of the Ministry of Education and Human Development and a publishing company involved in the production of textbooks, the GCCC said in a statement. Now, the Public Prosecutor's Office found evidence of active and passive corruption, fraud, abuse of office or functions, and payment of undue remuneration. These offenses resulted from the establishment of facts such as false information favoring people without the necessary qualifications or experience to participate in the design and preparation of textbooks, violation of public procurement rules, non-compliance with the evaluation phases of the textbooks, solicitation by MINEHDH, employees of undue payment or sponsorship to publishers, receipt of gifts as well as payment of undue remuneration. In the note, it is said that 9 of the 10 accused defendants responded to the trial in freedom under a periodic term of identity and residence check. In the statement, which does not identify the publisher involved, it is noted that a separate case has been opened for the continuation of investigations in the country and abroad around the aforementioned scandal, aiming at the criminal liability of possibly more people involved.
Now, 79-year-old Joseph Boakai, who was sworn in as Liberia's oldest ever president after scraping in a win on November's runoff election with the help of former rebel commander, takes on a tough challenge. It marks a generational shift as Boakai takes reins of power from the nation's youngest ever elected leader, George Weah. The former international football star rose to the presidency at the age of 51 after defeating Mr. Boakai in elections 6 years ago, but lost to him this time around by just over 20,000 votes. For Rodney Sier, the editor of Liberia's Front Page Africa news site, Boakai's victory did not come as a surprise. People were fed up with the way administration, he says, its corruption and opulence, the flashy cars and fancy restaurants. Voters questioned how officials could lead such lifestyles when ordinary people are struggling more and more to put food on the table and to pay school fees for their children, he told the BBC. Now, Boakai won despite the fact that for years he has been derided by his opponents and some ordinary Liberians on social media after appearing to doze off at public meetings.
In our next story, the U.S. and British militaries bombed multiple targets in 8 locations used by the Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen on Monday night, January the 22nd. According to officials, the U.S. and U.K. used warship and submarine-launched Tomahawk missiles and fighter jets to take out Houthi missile storage sites, drones, and launchers. Al Masira, a Houthi-run satellite news channel, said there were raids on 3 areas of Sana'a, the capital, Al-Dialami Air Base just north of the capital, Sarif, northeast of the city center, and Al-Hafa, which is south of Sana'a. Britain's Ministry of Defense confirmed that 4 Royal Air Force Typhoon jets struck multiple targets at 2 military sites in the vicinity of Sana'a airfield with precision-guided bombs. The strikes, said Defense Secretary Grant Shapps, were aimed at degrading Houthi capabilities and would deal another blow to their limited stockpiles and ability to threaten global trade.
Now, a truck driving at a high speed ran out of control and plunged into a ravine in southwestern Congo, killing 18 passengers on board and injuring more than a dozen others, and this was according to police. The truck was filled with goods and carrying many passengers on a major highway in the remote Kasangulu territory in Congo's central district on Sunday when it fell into a ravine, according to Kasangulu Police Commander Benjamin Banza. The bodies recovered from the ravine were transported to the morgue of the Kasangulu General Hospital, while the injured, including 6 serious and 15 minor ones, are being treated at the hospital, Banza said late Sunday. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Stay with us for more news after the break.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, the International Court of Justice is set to make a ruling on South Africa's case against Israel, accusing them of genocide in Gaza. Here to talk to us about that and more stories is Ari Hochart. Good morning, Ari. Take it away.
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin and everyone. Yes, it's due anytime. It could be early February as well. Just to color it in again, it was South Africa that argued in the International Court of Justice that Israel is guilty of genocide. That was the argument, but they asked for preliminary measures, so that is for Israel to withdraw out of Gaza. So that ruling will be made, but the whole case against the genocide could be adjudication, could take years to do. But anyway, what's happening is interesting to see who supports the South African argument and who don't. There's a talk that Ireland also supports the South African argument, and then also Belgium already confirmed. That is countries from the European Union, of course, but the European Union as a bloc will remain on the fence, so they will remain neutral. Germany is in opposition of South Africa's argument, and also the United Kingdom and USA also in opposition to South Africa's argument. So that is ongoing, and we will see how that goes. That was Minister Ronald Lamola, the Minister of Justice. That was in The Hague when the arguments was made before the International Court of Justice. But we'll see when that call is made by the ICJ.
We'll definitely look forward on an update on that story. Now, in your next story, data obtained by South Africa's 4 leading banks indicate a big increase in card spend in December, but concerns remain that high volumes of card spend was on credit. Can you expand on this?
Yes, it is done by Bank South Africa, so that's combined the 4 biggest banks in South Africa, which would be Absa, Nedbank, and FNB. Also in those banks included, and it is to do with the card spend that was tracked for December. So it's always easy to spend in December, or people try to find a way to spend more in December, being the summer holidays. So card spend in South Africa up by 13%, and it totals to 112.5 billion South African rand. Lots of money, and the best performer there was groceries and supermarkets. That is 50 billion of that amount. Travel is less, maybe because of the fuel price. It's down 18% to 7.6 billion. And then also people spend less on clothes, and that was also down 11%, 2.8 billion. But the concern for economists is that most of the 112.5 billion is money that was lent. Typically, when you use cards or credit cards, it's on credit. And so that's a concern with the high debt levels of South Africa. Just to put it into perspective briefly, South Africa's debt, the government's debt, is 275 US billion. So 275 billion US dollars. So you must go times it by 18 to get to the rand. And for the consumer, the household is also separate from this, 147 billion US dollars. So South Africa, between the government and the household, massive amount of debt. So that is must be a priority to get that less and under control.
All right, fair enough, Ari. So it seems like Woolies shares haven't been performing well in the last 12 months.
Yes, there was an announcement just a few days ago that it went down 2% again. It's now 65 Rand and 30 cents a share. That might not sound a lot, but taken over the last 12 months, it went down 15%. And it is maybe an indication of all that's happening in South Africa at the moment. There's the pressure that, for the reasons that the Woolworths gave, was also related maybe to other components of the economy as well. The bird flu was mentioned, the bird flu epidemic, and then also the port chaos, the chaos in the ports where all these companies like Woolworths urgently need containers to be cleared and stock to come in. So also there's a decline in local food and clothes and fashion that people buy, as we talked about earlier. So the ports are still backlogged, so that's not a good thing. But also Woolworths do have stores in New Zealand and Australia. They're also down. So that is the indication maybe of the current state of the economy in South Africa.
Sorry, Ari, I don't mean to be a hater, but tonight when Bafana plays against Tunisia, I'm not rooting for Bafana after what happened on Sunday. But I understand that a lot of South Africans are hoping for a win.
Yes, I do. And that was after the loss to Mali. That was a better performance against Namibia. It was also difficult for me to watch that game. I'm torn in two, so in half, so to speak. But yes, it's for South Africa. They play tonight at 7 p.m. Tunisia. So Tunisia must win to go through to the last 16. South Africa, it seems like a draw or a win is good enough. So that's 7 p.m. Namibia's game against Mali is also 7 p.m. at the same time. So that is exciting times. And Namibia also technically can still go through. So I hope that both South Africa and Namibia can do it somehow. That is Themba Zwane. So he's the number 11 there, hands in the air. He's the near hero. He scored twice against Namibia. So he needs to be on song tonight for South Africa to go through. So I'll be shouting, I'll be rooting for both Namibia and South Africa tonight.
Yes, Ari. I'm going to go ahead and add Zambia to that pot because I know Namibia qualifies if Zambia loses. But that's bad for my marital home, so I'm not going to have that. So I need Namibia to win, Zambia to win, South Africa to win, Southern Africa. Let's get it going. Thank you for the stories.
Yes, big pleasure and a brilliant day for everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, cheers, Ari. Let's head to the weather predictions.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In economic news, Zimbabwe and Mozambique have reached an agreement to refurbish and extend a 10-kilometer railway line from Machipanda to Mutare within the next 3 months. The transport ministers of both countries confirmed this development during a tour of the Forbes and Machipanda border posts, the Herald reported. On Wednesday, Mozambique's Transport and Communications Minister Mr. Mateus Magala arrived in Zimbabwe to hold bilateral meetings on cooperation in transport and transport infrastructure with Zimbabwean Transport and Infrastructural Development Minister Felix Mona. His visit comes after President Mnangagwa joined his Mozambican counterpart, President Filipe Nyusi, in witnessing the commissioning of the rehabilitated $200 million Beira Machipanda railway line last November.
Now, Portugal's largest builder, Mortar Angel, has signed 4 contracts worth a total of 975 million euros in Angola and Mexico, strengthening the order book in Africa and Latin America, its main markets, and causing its shares to rise on Tuesday. The company said late on Monday its new contracts with the Angolan government included the Corimba waterfront construction and social housing in the capital, Luanda, as well as a border post on Angola's frontier with the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Those have been our economic news stories. We head over to the indicators just before Ari returns with the sport. Big night for Africa Cup of Nations football in Côte d'Ivoire. Let's see what you can expect. Well, first of all, let's get into the results. Mauritania beat Algeria yesterday, therefore sending Algeria out. Angola beating Burkina Faso. Angola qualifies to the next round. Gambia was in the lead against Cameroon before Cameroon swung back to win that game 3-2 and indeed qualifying themselves. Senegal, it's been breezy for them. They are yet to lose a single game in this tournament and they went through. And now it is time for Namibia to face Mali, hoping for a win, because a win or possibly a draw will allow Namibia to go fourth. South Africa versus Tunisia, must win for both teams. Yes, and Morocco plays Zambia, also a must-win for both teams. Zambia hasn't lost a game. They've drawn all their games right now, and both teams are former AFCON champions, so it's something to watch. Let's head over to Ari.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with Australian Open. It is week 2, very exciting tennis in Melbourne in Australia. In the men's side of the draw, it is a number 1 seed Novak Djokovic. He's safely through to the quarterfinals. He needed 4 sets to beat Taylor Fritz of the United States. And then it's also Carlos Alcaraz of Spain, the number 2 seed, also still in the tournament, playing in the 4th round. In the fourth round also, number 6 seed Alexander Zverev, a great performance by him. He needed 5 sets to beat Cameroon of Great Britain, and it was a 7-6 in the fifth set. So Alexander Zverev of Germany also through to the quarterfinals. Then it is also on the women's side of the draw. It is number 4 seed of the United States, Coco Gauff, one of the early favorites, and she's through to the quarterfinals. She beat Marta Kostic of Ukraine, and the score there was 7-6, 6-7, and then 6-2 in the third set. And then a good result also for Qinwen Zheng. She's from China, 12th seed, also winning in the fourth round. Number 2 seed in the tournament is Aryna Sabalenka. She's safely through also to the quarterfinals, and she's the favorite at the moment and the highest seed left on the women's side of the draw, with Iga Swiatek, the number 1 seed, losing earlier in the third round. And continuing international sports news with golf news, both on the PGA and the DP World Tour. Firstly, on the PGA Tour, it was history that was made. It was the junior or the amateur Nick Dunlop. He's just 20 years old. He won the American Express tournament that is on the PGA professional circuit, and that was the first time since 1991. That was when Phil Mickelson won as an amateur. So a great performance by the amateur. He's still 20 years old, and because he's an amateur, he cannot receive the 1.5 million winners check. That will go to the second placed player, and that is South African Christian Besaidnout. He came in second on 28 under par. Dunlop won with a 29 under par. The good news for Nick Dunlop is that he qualifies, he's got an exemption for 2 years now on the PGA Tour, so he can comfortably turn pro now, and he also qualifies for this year's majors, being the Masters, also the PGA, and the Players' Championship he qualified for as well. Then on the European Tour, on the DP World Tour, it is Rory McIlroy of Northern Ireland that won the tournament. He defended his title with a total of -14, one shot better than Adrian Meronk of Poland on -13. Rory McIlroy has won the tournament now four times, and is currently the number 2 player in the world. And to close off today's international sports news, it is soccer news, and it's news from Liverpool related to Mo Salah, that's currently playing in the AFCON tournament that is for Egypt, but he injured his leg. That was in a Group B game against Ghana that ended 2-2. But it seems like his injury is more serious than initially thought. So he's back at Liverpool, where he went into a rehab program at Liverpool. That's of course his professional club. And Egypt still hope that he will be out just for a few games or 2 games, but Liverpool said that he might not be able to play for 3 to 4 weeks, and so it's more serious than they thought. And it is Liverpool that indicated that at best he might be available for the quarterfinals on the 2nd or the 3rd of February if Egypt go that far. So it is not good news for Egypt, and Liverpool will definitely protect their player and make sure that he's ready to play before they send him back to the AFCON tournament. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Now, I certainly hope Mohamed Salah recovers from his injury, but I just found out that due to his injury, he won't be facing Arsenal on the 4th of February, and that makes me very sad. Let's have a look at the highlights. Cameroon begins routine malaria shots in global milestone. Mozambique corruption charges brought against 10 in school textbook case. Zimbabwe and Mozambique agreed to refurbish and extend railway line.
And tonight we cross our fingers as the brave warriors face Mali.
Yes, absolutely.
And with that, we have come to the end of our broadcast. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Ashwin Berry, Suraj Jaganaka.